So we're here this afternoon to talk about a 2-year-old death that we responded to yesterday in Holmes County, around the Prosperity area. Before I start with the interview, let me just say that like this is a really fluid investigation. It's an ongoing investigation, and we're still putting pieces together. I will give you the facts that I know them as right now. They're subject to change and they're subject to be added to, but I will just give you a briefing of where we're at this point. So around 3:43 yesterday afternoon, our Holmes County 911 dispatch received a 911 call from a female. The dispatcher was not able to get any information out of her. She was very hysterical, screaming, really couldn't get no details of what was going on. So she dispatched the deputy to do a welfare check. The deputy responded to the address. The first deputy arrived on scene. The first deputy arrived on scene within 2 minutes. Once he arrived on scene, he was met outside with the individual carrying a baby that was unresponsive. When I say baby, it was a 2-year-old. Immediately, the deputy began CPR, started trying to do life-saving measures on the child while EMS responded. EMS shortly responded thereafter, took over the life-saving measures, and ultimately, around 3:59, pronounced the child dead. The facts that we know at the time, the information was gathered on scene as the mother had found the baby at the time. It was inside the house, unresponsive is what she told investigators and deputies on scene. We immediately transported the mother and father to the sheriff's office to begin interviews, to talk to them, to try to get together the puzzles. And during the investigation part at the house and at the office, we began putting some clues together. Immediately after the baby was pronounced, investigators on the scene had EMS to take a body temperature of the baby, which the body temperature of the child was 107 degrees. So we knew something wasn't adding up. So at that point, we started interviewing investigators at the office, started interviewing mom and dad, and investigators on the scene started interviewing witnesses there. And we come to the conclusion of basically information was received that the child was in a car at the residence, not in the house. So investigators at the sheriff's office started interviewing the mom. She was confronted with this information and ultimately come forth with information that the child was in the car. Through an interview on the mom, she stated to investigators basically she worked at the Tom Thumb there in Ponce got off around midnight. She went to the babysitter's house, which is a relative nearby down the road, picked up the child, actually a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and went home to her residence. Once she got home, along with her husband or the baby's dad, the baby was asleep in the car seat. They decided to leave the child in the car and went inside and ultimately fell asleep and did not wake up or did not realize the child was in the car until around 3:41 that afternoon. Once they realized that the child was still in the car, they went out and found it unresponsive. Still gray areas about what happened between the time they found the child and what time they called 911. We've got to do some investigating as far as cell phone records and different things. So those pieces of the puzzles are still being pieced together. So basically, the mom did confess to leaving the child in the car for about 14 hours. And the dad, we tried to interview him. He was very uncooperative. He invoked his rights and did not wish to give us a statement and talk to us at that time. We also done several search warrants. We've done a search warrant on the residence as well as the vehicles. And inside the residence, we went inside and found numerous packages with methamphetamine pipes, marijuana, also some CBD gummies and different sorts of drugs and paraphernalia. DCF responded to the scene as well as the Gulf Coast Advocacy Center to assist us in this investigation, along with the medical examiner's office and the state attorney's office. Basically, we spent most of the night trying to secure the scene. We towed the vehicle that the baby was left in to our sheriff's office, and we've done a search warrant on it. FDLE came over this morning and is conducting a forensic investigation of it. So basically, once the mom confessed, we arrested mom and the father on numerous charges to deal with the drugs and stuff. We conferred with our state attorney's office. We got some things in place as far as blood draws, got some orders for drug blood on mom and dad. The autopsy was set up for today at 2 o'clock on the child. Right now, they were booked in last night, as of last night, with one case of, one charge of child abuse or child neglect, possession of methamphetamine, possession of drug paraphernalia, until we can get all the forensic evidence back as far as blood draws, what the autopsy caused death, and such as that, and then they will face additional charges for the child's death. Right now, they're in our jail under, I think, around about $50,000 bond. There will be more charges coming. I can't tell you exactly when. As soon as we get those results back and we confer with our state attorney's office, they will be faced with some type of manslaughter or murder charges. Is there any questions?
Where is the 4-year-old?
The 4-year-old is in the custody of the Department of Children and Families.
The names of the parents?
Okay. The mother's name is Catherine Adams. She's 23 years of age. And the father is Christopher McLean, 32 years of age.
Was the 4-year-old in the car with the 2-year-old, or what kind of happened?
According to the mother's statement, the 4-year-old got out of the car and went in the house. Now, that's just based on her statement. We do not have any evidence of whether it was in the car or within the house. That's still something else we're trying to find out. And we're working on that aspect of it.
What time did you respond to that? Did you receive the 911?
The 911 call came in at 3:41, and the first deputy on scene was at 3:43 within 2 minutes of the call. Now, there's some discrepancies so far as what actually time that they found the child and what time they called 911. So we got to subpoena cell phone records, cell sites, and find out, what time they called other people along with the time they called 911.
Did any witnesses come forth when you guys were in the neighborhood saying that they saw the child was left in the car that entire time?
Or
No.
hear the child in the car?
What's that?
Or hear the child in the car?
No, nobody knew the child was in the car until they went out there and found it. Other than the mom. She knew that she purposely, through her own statement, purposely left the child in the car throughout the night.
And for 14 hours didn't think to go check on her child.
No.
Is there a message to the community in a situation like this?
Don't do drugs. I mean, I honestly believe, methamphetamine drugs is the culprit behind this death. That's what happens when you use drugs. You lose sense of what's going on in reality, and this kind of stuff happens. Probably if they wasn't on drugs, we probably wouldn't be here today.
So with the Bonifay Police Department being shut down, do you think that will have any effect on the investigation?
No. Well, our team was out there, including myself, till about midnight last night. I can't brag on our team enough, our investigators, deputies, along with the state attorney state attorney himself, the assistant state attorney, and the state attorney. He was on the phone with us the whole time. They helped tremendously. DCF come out, medical examiner's office. It's a team effort. We, believe it or not, when bad things happen in Holmes County, we all come together, and it all comes together, and we all work together really well. And this is an very unfortunate event. It's terrible. But as far as a group effort, it takes a team. I mean, it's not one person. It's all of us working together to try to complete this goal. And ultimately, you were here today because of that 2-year-old and trying to get justice for that 2-year-old.
Will the Holmes County Sheriff Office stay in charge of the investigation, or at one point will this get turned over to the state?
Well, the Holmes County Sheriff's Office is the lead agency, and we're investigating it. Everything we do, we confer with the state attorney's office to see, make sure the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So once we get the analysis is back on the blood, we got a rush on it, and then we get the autopsy result and find out the true cause of death, which we already know what the true cause of death is, but, you know, we need a medical examiner to tell us. We will confer with our state attorney, and then the appropriate charges will be sought against them.
Will those charges be on both parents?
That's still yet to be seen. And we know definitely the mother, and from her statement, she has implicated the father in it. So, you know, will be something we discuss with the state attorney's office, but yes, most likely.
In speaking to both parents, did they admit to doing drugs leading up to the?
Like I said, the father was very uncooperative. He did not. He was very not forthcoming with anything. But the mother did. She did state in her statement that they went inside and they were smoking marijuana. Obviously, you know, inside was methamphetamine in the baby's bag, along with pipes. Marijuana was in the house. So, you know, yes, she did admit to the drug, but she did admit to the meth. She admitted to the marijuana.
And I know you touched on it a little bit, but at what point during the investigation and response to the home did you guys start to get an idea that this child may have been left in the car, even though originally they said the child was just unresponsive?
Well, it just, you know, it kind of doesn't pass the smell test. When we responded to the house, and, you know, they come out with a child, a couple of the investigators and deputies noticed that the child was very hot. Common sense tells you most of the time, if you're in the house, you're not going to get that hot. So, you know, it kind of started setting off things, and then other things started chiming in, making us think it was in the car. And then by that time, she was already over here at the sheriff's office. So we were texting each other back and forth and said, hey, listen, we got information to believe that the baby was in the car. She was confronted with that information, and it took her just a couple minutes. She broke down and started basically telling us the real truth, or somewhat the truth. But I mean, again, you know, our EMS people, they responded, they were there to help us with that, with the body temperature, you know what I mean? That was the big key. We had investigators there to, you know, chimed in and said, hey, this child's abnormally hot, let's get a body temperature, you know? And that, when they did that, it was 107 degrees, which is very abnormal.
How long was that after the?
From the initial call to the time of the temperature, I would say probably about 25 minutes, 25 minutes.
And the child had been out of the car the whole 25 minutes.
That the child had been out of the car,
Since.
that plus however long it took them to find him and do what they'd done and call 911.
Was it a boy or a girl?
It was a little girl.
Were those the only children at the residence?
Yes, ma'am. There was just a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Good. You guys good?
Do you have anything else?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.